on, so I hear that you want to learn how to play clarinet. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our clarinet case. And right here, I've got a Yamaha one, as you can see. Now, you may be wondering, how do I get this clarinet out of this case? Well, I'm here to tell you. So, first, instead of setting the clarinet next to you, or on your lap, or on the ceiling, or in a tree, we're going to put the clarinet case on the ground. And, specifically, the way that we know how to put it down correctly is that these nubs are going to be going outwards. That shows us that it's the bottom. And another way that we can remember which way is the top is that almost always it has the logo on top. Hooray! Now that you've got your clarinet case open, let's take a look and learn the names of the different parts of the clarinet. Let's start at the bottom. This right here is called the bell, and that is because it's a bell shape, and that is going to be the bottom of the clarinet. Right here, this upper part, this is called the lower joint. Then we have the upper joint, and the part that goes into this right here is called the barrel, and then this is our mouthpiece, and that is what the reed is going on to, and that is what we're going to be talking about next. Let's talk about what a reed is. So the reed that I have here today is the Diodario Reserve, and my strength is strength 3. There are many different sizes. It just depends on what size works best for you, but a good size to start on would be a 2.5 to a 3 in most cases. Before we start to assemble a clarinet, we are going to want to talk about using cork grease. So my clarinet, she's all nice and cork greased and all good, but likely if you have a new clarinet, you are going to need cork grease, and you are also just going to need cork grease in general, because in order to take care of your corks, you will need cork grease to take care of them. You can get cork grease from, let's see here, you've got Van Doren cork grease, Yamaha cork grease, whatever comes with your instrument. It might be in a little coin-sized cork grease. It might look like chapstick, like mine does, but make sure that you remember that it's not chapstick, because that is not fun to put cork grease on your lips. I've never done that, but I know people who have. Whenever you take your cork grease, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pinky, and you're going to pinky promise to put grease on your cork. See right here? We sort of lather it onto our pinky. A lot of people like to put it directly onto the cork, but actually that is not very good for your instrument necessarily, and it's way more grease than you need to be using. So, if you can see here, I have a little bit of grease on my pinky, and I'm going to take it and put it onto the cork, like so. This is a process that happens over time. You will have to put grease on your corks pretty frequently in order to get them all nice and good. So please, especially if this is the first time that you are assembling your clarinet, make sure that you are greasing your corks. To get started though, before we start to assemble a clarinet, we're going to make sure that our reed is wet. And it needs to be wet because the reed needs to vibrate in order to make sound. And if it's dry, it will not be able to produce a sound. This is how you wet your reed. Super easy. Now, every day, whenever you're assembling your clarinet, before you start to assemble it, you just want to put the reed in your mouth so that it's wet enough by the time your clarinet is all put together. Let's start to assemble our clarinet. Now, after you're done looking at your clarinet for a while and just saying, oh wow, look at how pretty my clarinet is, then we can start to assemble it. Let's take our upper joint right here. If you remember, this is the one we've got the logo on the top, hypothetically. I don't know what your clarinet looks like, but for this Yamaha one that I have, the logo is here on the top. Now, another way to identify it is on the back. We have this hole here, and we also have this register key. Okay? And we can talk more about that later. So, if you look here, we've got 3 holes. 1, 2, 3. And the fingers that are going to go in those holes are your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger. Right there. Now, the second piece that we're going to take is in our right hand. We're going to take the lower joint. And a way to identify this is that it has this thumb rest right here on the back. You see that? And it is adjustable if you look, depending on your hand size. So, on the front, we also have 3 holes. Got 1, 2, 3. And it's the same. We're gonna take our right hand and pointer finger, my middle finger, and my ring finger. Just like that. Now, can you do that with both hands? I bet you can, because I can. If I can do it, you can do it. So now that we've got both of our hands on each part of the clarinet, we can start to assemble. A big reason that we want to put our fingers right where they're supposed to go whenever we're playing, while we're putting it together, is so that we don't smash any extra keys down. We don't want to smash the keys that will hurt the instrument. And isn't our clarinet so pretty? Yeah, it's pretty. So we don't want to hurt it. If you also look right here, it's a little bit hard to see on camera, but we have these pretty keys right there. But right behind it is this little mechanism, and it is called the bridge key. And that is what bridges the top part to the bottom part. And another reason why we keep all of our fingers down is because whenever I press these buttons, that second one, you see it goes up. We want it to be up so that whenever we put it onto this right here, it doesn't hit anything. We want everything to go smoothly. So if we hold these down, everything will go nice and smooth. We're gonna start to put these together. You will have to use a little bit of strength and force, not a lot, but just a little bit, to get everything put together. Whenever I have it about this far in, I like to grab the top and bottom just a little bit, not smashing any keys. I'm just holding it very gently, and I push it the rest of the way, just to get that little bit of oomph. Just like that. And if you can see here, let's look at that bridge key again. So right there, that is the top of the bridge key, and this is the bottom. And they are all aligned, and it's looking good. So now you've got the main section of your clarinet all put together. All right, great job on assembling your upper and lower joints. Now let's assemble the bell. You can put your fingers here on the bottom half with your left hand, and then hold the bell with your right hand. If this works for you, you can go for it. But what I like to do is very gently hold the bottom here and just gently twist it in. Like I said before, make sure that your corks are greased enough, because that can make this process a little bit difficult. I sure hope that you didn't forget about your reed, because this next thing that we're going to talk about is going to need it, and that is our mouthpiece. I always thought that it looked like Darth Vader whenever I was growing up, and that is because it has a mouthpiece protector cap. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Darth Vader mouthpiece. Okay, let's take our mouthpiece protector and just gently set it back in the case where our mouthpiece was. Now that that is done, let's admire our pretty mouthpiece, and always remember that whenever we're taking it out of the case, we're going to be very careful, because this hard rubber mouthpiece right here is very easy to drop and break. Very easy, and it's very scary because they're very expensive. So make sure that you care and love for your mouthpiece with all of your heart. Oh, I love my clarinet mouthpiece. It's so lovely and so nice. Just like that. I want us to take the barrel, and it looks like a barrel. So let's take our mouthpiece and our barrel. If you notice, this, I didn't talk about this yet, but this little metal piece is the ligature, and this is what's going to hold our reed in place on the mouthpiece while we play. Let's just set this to the side, either in your case, on a stand, somewhere safe, while we put the mouthpiece into the barrel. If you see here, we have a cork, and on the skinny side of the barrel, the top, this is no cork. So this is going to go mouthpiece into barrel, just like that. So let us take our ligature, wherever you set it, and slide it onto the mouthpiece. Whichever ligature you have. Sometimes these little screws, they go on the back, sometimes they go on the front, and a good rule of thumb is that the screws are always going to be to the right. Now we take our wet reed, which has been in your mouth this whole time. You can look with me here. I'm going to slide my ligature up so that it's looser, and I'm going to slide my clarinet reed down into the extra space that I created. Can you see this? That's what it looks like. Now that I have my reed slid into the ligature, I tightened it just until it got tight enough to kind of stop moving. I felt some resistance. Same with the top and the bottom. And it felt nice and secure, but not too tight. If it's too tight, it's going to be a little bit harder to play a sound. Then you know that it is secure enough. So if you look here from the side, it is almost level with the mouthpiece. And a good way that I like to remember how far down it is if you press down on the reed, it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see that there's just a little sliver of the mouthpiece above the reed. Again, make sure that it's aligned down the center, make sure that it's aligned this way, there's no gaping holes or anything, it's lined up completely, and then make sure that it's lined up with the top of your mouthpiece. Now that we have our reed onto our mouthpiece and our mouthpiece onto our barrel, let's learn how to make the first sound. Alright, now that we have our reed onto our mouthpiece and our mouthpiece onto our barrel, and our ligature onto our reed and mouthpiece, we're going to learn how to make the first sounds. And I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, it took forever to get here. But we have to know how to do everything else right before we can do this. Just say, you might feel silly, but it's going to help us make a good embouchure. That was pretty fast. But that's essentially how we make our embouchure on the clarinet. Just our mouthpiece is going to rest right on our bottom lip here, our super relaxed bottom lip, and it's going to cover our teeth. And a good way to know where your lip should be, if you see right here where the reed meets the mouthpiece, that's about where we want our bottom lip to be. So if I follow that, my bottom lip is going to be about right there. Just like that. And now we're going to take our top teeth and just rest it on the top of the mouthpiece. Not super complicated. That's just where it's going to rest. And now we're going to take our lips and just relax it over the mouthpiece. So if we remember this, bottom lip, top teeth, and then relax our lips. Just like that. Now before we blow and make a sound, we're going to take our tongue and very, just super relaxed, place it onto the reed right here. Like so. Got that? I'm going to place it onto the reed, and then I'm going to start blowing air, but not letting it out. My tongue is going to stop the air from actually blowing out. So like this. You don't hear anything? Because my tongue is stopping the air, but I'm still using my pressure in my lungs to start blowing the air, but we can't let it start yet. But if I release my tongue, guess what we get? See that? Let me do an example here. Whenever I go like this, that means that I've let my tongue go. Okay? If it's like this, that means that my tongue is on the reed. So, and that's how we make our first sounds. Now that we know how to make a sound on the clarinet, we're going to learn how to get this, which has no cork, and learn how to put it onto this upper joint and the rest of our clarinet, which does have a cork. So, I'm going to take this bell of the clarinet and simply rest it onto my legs here. Take this into our right hand, just a pretty good firm grasp. We don't have to worry about pressing any keys here. And then let's take the top of it with the rest of the clarinet with our left hand. Make sure not to press down any keys as well. We're simply just going to twist and push. Like I said earlier, remember, we are facing our reed. So the reed is in towards my body because I love my reed. If you also look here, the reed is going to line up with the thumb and register key right there. And also the logo on the back of our mouthpiece right there is going to line up with the logo on our clarinet. Pretty easy to remember. I love my reed. My reed loves my thumb and register key. And the logo loves the logo. And now, voila, you have assembled your clarinet. Now, if you remember from the beginning of the video on how we were putting the upper and lower joint together, you will remember where to put your fingers. But let's go over it. So on the back here, we've got the thumb and register key. You guessed it, that's where your thumb goes. And here on the top, if you remember, our first finger, pointer finger, goes on the first hole, middle finger goes on the second hole, and your ring finger goes on the third hole. And our pinky is just gonna rest over here on these keys. And for the second hand, you guessed it, your thumb is gonna go underneath the thumb rest. Your first finger is going to go on the first hole. Second finger, second hole. Third finger on the third hole. Alright, now that we've imagined that I've been playing for a couple minutes, we're going to look here. Wow, my fingers look so nice and they're all rested on their positions. Now if I look at my fingers and I take them off, if you can see here, it looks like I have little rings and circles on my fingers. Like I've got little Cheerios. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you look at your own fingers, you should be able to see it. If you can see that you have complete Cheerios, then you're doing the right thing. But if your Cheerios are kind of halfway on your finger and they're not complete Cheerios, they're not complete circles, then that means that you might not be covering up the holes all the way. Let's learn how to play an E. Let's see here. Take your thumb, put it right here on that back hole, on the thumb hole here. And then we're going to take our first finger, our pointer finger, and put it on the first hole. Now, if you do that and you're covering up your holes correctly, letting your other fingers just rest, not pressing on anything, not covering any holes, then we'll get this. And that is an E. Now, let's learn how to play D. We're going to take our E and only change one thing. We're going to press down our second finger. Now, if I play that, I got, and that's our D. Let's learn one more note for this first lesson. Now, I've got my E, got my D. Remember, we still have that thumb down. And now, I put one more down, and that is, you guessed it, C. And now guess what I can play? You guessed it. If you can learn E, D, and C, you can play hot cross buns, which is super cool. Just one thing to remind you before you learn how to play hot cross buns is, let's remember, whenever we put our clarinet into our mouth, we want to make sure that the tongue is on the reed before we blow out the air. So if I show you this, if I play a C, I'll show you whenever my tongue is on the reed and whenever it's off, just like I did before. And I'm still going to be blowing air. So whenever I play hot cross buns, I'm tonguing between every single note, where my tongue just lightly touches the tip, right below the tip of the reed. And it's right below, right here on my tongue. Not the very tip of my reed, but just a little bit behind it. So I will show you whenever I tongue while playing hot cross buns. Great job learning how to play the first few notes on clarinet. Let's learn how to deassemble it. Just a reminder, let's make sure that our clarinet case is on the ground and that it's open. Okay, so the first step into taking our clarinet apart is going to be taking off the reed. Now, it's very similar to what we did whenever we were putting it on. We're going to slide the ligature up and then slide the reed out of the top, just like this, being very careful not to break it. And then we're going to slide it back into this little plastic protector, just like so. Making sure not to put it too far out. It's just snug in there and it's all protected. Let's put that in the side of our case. Now, let's go over how to clean the clarinet. Here, I've got myself a swab. First, let's just take off the mouthpiece and the barrel. So let's just set this very gently in our case. Let's take the side that has the weight on it. If you can see, it's got a weight in here. and we're going to drop it into our bell until it comes out the bottom. You see that? And I still have a hand on the rest of the swab. We always want to make sure that we can hold some part of the swab so it doesn't get stuck in the clarinet. And now we're simply just going to pull it through. Boom. Just like that. Perfect. And now your clarinet is clean. Now, let's set this top half very gently down onto our case here so that we can also swab the mouthpiece and the barrel. We're going to do the same thing. Take the weighted end, put it in the bottom, and draw it out the top. Just like so. Same thing. Now, let's take the mouthpiece off of the barrel, same way we put it on, by twisting and pulling. Once you have these taken apart, we're going to set them back in the case just as you found them. So the ligature goes right back on the mouthpiece. Our Darth Vader mouthpiece protector goes right back on the top, like so. Back into the case. Now for this half, let's take off the bell first. It's going to be the same way as the way that we put it on. Pull and twist off, being very careful not to smash our keys. And now, to take off the top and bottom joint, or upper and lower joint, I like to grab from the top and the bottom here, and just very gently pull and twist. As you can see, I have put away my barrel and my bell and my mouthpiece. That is a pretty big divot, and that is just perfect for where this needs to go. Wow, it fits so nice and so snug. And then this upper joint here, a good way to remember that this is where this goes is if we look here, you can sort of see that this is where the register key and the thumb key would fit. If you look on the back, like, oh, that kind of matches. It's like a puzzle piece. And that just goes all snug in there. So if you ever forget, there's a few signposts that help you to remember where everything goes into your case. Alrighty, after we put everything into the case where it belongs, we're just going ahead and take our case and make sure we shut it all the way. For me, I just have to make sure that I hear it latch. I can pull on it, make sure that it's latched all the way, it's not going anywhere, and just like that. You might have noticed, where did your swab go? Where's the swab at? Because it's not in my case, and that is exactly right. So, we are looking at our swab here. We're thinking, it's like covered in spit. That's so gross. Ew. And that's completely right. We don't want to keep our spit in our case. And why might that be? I'm thinking, why wouldn't I want my spitty swab in my case? That's because if we keep our swab in the case, it's just going to keep all of our moisture in there. It might get moldy. All that swabbing that you did, it would just be basically for nothing, which is pretty sad. We're going to keep our swab, either keep it wrapped around the handle here, either in your backpack, in a little extra bag, somewhere. Just making sure that you're not keeping it in the case, because that would undo all of the hard work that you have done to make sure that your clarinet is nice and clean. Overall, let's go over what we have learned. We have learned, keep your clarinet case on the ground whenever opening it. We have learned how to assemble your clarinet, making sure not to smash the keys. We have learned how to put the reed onto the clarinet very carefully. We have learned how to make our first sounds on the clarinet, as well as how to play E, D, and C, and then we also learned how to play hot cross buns, and then we also learned how to put our clarinet away and how to clean it and how to take care of it. Great job! This is our first video on how to play clarinet, and you all have done so great.